Well, a Canadian judge has ruled the reapproval of glyphosate was unreasonable in that it failed to consider food safety concerns raised by the public. Well, Lindsay Smith with RealAgriculture.com joins us now with the latest. And Lindsay, thanks for your time here today. Let's start with a bit of background on this matter and, of course, this new ruling.
Yeah, hi, Janet. Thanks so much. So it's an interesting decision. This is a suit that was brought forward in 2019 by Safe Food Safe Food Matters and the David Suzuki Foundation, essentially calling into question the pest management regulatory agency's reapproval of glyphosate, which they did reapprove the registration for the popular herbicide for 15 years. Safe Food Matters argues that they didn't take into consideration public sentiment, so public risk, and they attribute that to the system that PMRA uses to approve the herbicide, and they say that it didn't take into account concerns the public had and didn't take into account potential exposure through the increased addition of pulses to Canadian diets.
Now, Lindsay, why is this potentially significant?
Well, so it is an interesting turn of events because, of course, we have a science-based regulatory process here in Canada for approvals and reapprovals. Glyphosate and all other pesticides do go under regular reevaluations of their registrations, and we have a science-based system. And when a judge then steps in and essentially says, you know, public sentiment should have been part of this discussion, it really does potentially call into question the scientific rigor that we're applying to these decisions.
Now, it was recently announced that the Pest Management Regulatory Agency would have a new committee to weigh in on registrations and reviews. What's been the reaction from the industry?
Right. So this is sort of along the same lines as some of the scrutiny that glyphosate has come under. Is we did just see the federal government announce that they are opening up the call for nominations for this committee, and the committee will essentially be another layer of oversight to the registration process. And so CropLife Canada, which certainly calls into question the redundancy of such a committee in effect that we already have oversight of the regulatory process, and says that this committee potentially adds a layer that is not scientific to the regulatory process. So could open us up potentially for things like public sentiment being weighed in the balance of these registrations.
All right. Well, Lindsay, thank you very much for your insight today. Lindsay Smith with RealAgriculture.com and Real Ag Radio joining us on the phone today out of Ontario.